Jason Crestfield sat at his mahogany desk, studying the architectural drawing that represented 6 months of his firm's work. The 42-year-old CEO was known for his precision, his vision, and his ruthlessness. What he wasn't known for was patience, especially not with mistakes. The office door burst open. Zara, a 4-year-old girl with pigtails and innocent eyes, ran in chasing a butterfly she'd seen through the window. Her mother, Mira, was 3 seconds behind her, apologizing profusely. But those 3 seconds were not enough. Zara's small hand knocked over the water bottle on Jason's desk. Water cascaded across the architectural drawing, smudging months of meticulous work into blur. Jason stood up so fast, his chair flew backward. His face turned crimson. "What the?" he screamed, his voice echoing through the entire floor. Zara froze, her eyes wide with terror. The butterfly was forgotten. Everything was forgotten except the rage in front of her. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." Mira rushed forward, grabbing Zara and pulling her away. She tried to dry the drawing with her hands, making it worse. "Jason, please, she didn't mean to. She's just a child. I'll fix this. I promise I'll fix this." But Jason wasn't listening. His hands were shaking, not from anger alone, from something deeper, something wounded. He looked at Zara's terrified face and saw something else entirely, a reminder of betrayal, of lies, of a past that still haunted him. "Get her out of my office," he said coldly. "And get yourself together, Mira. You're a cleaner. Act like one." Mira carried Zara out, the child crying silently, her small body trembling. If you're feeling this tension already, you need to see how it unfolds. Subscribe now so you don't miss what happens next. Like and comment if you've ever had a second chance that changed everything. Mira wasn't always a cleaner. 5 years ago, she was a first-class architecture graduate from the city's most prestigious university. She had been brilliant, top of her class, internship offers from the best firms, a future mapped out in perfect lines and angles. Her professors said she had a gift, that she would design buildings people would remember for generations. Then life happened. She got pregnant in her final year. The father left before she even told him. Mira faced a choice: abort her dreams or abort her degree. She chose differently. She had Zara. She finished her degree, pregnant and alone. But the internships dried up. No firm wanted to hire a single mother. Her brilliant future became a survival present. Now at 31, Mira cleaned offices at night and cared for her daughter during the day. She'd been working for Jason Crestfield's firm for 2 years. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid rent. Barely. It was enough. Until today. That afternoon, Jason called Mira into his office, her heart already beating so fast. "Because of what happened this morning," Jason said, not looking at her, "I'm reducing your salary by 40%, effective immediately." The words hit like a physical blow. 40%. That was rent. That was food. That was the life she and Zara had built in their tiny apartment. "Jason, please," Mira said, her voice cracking. "It was an accident. A child's accident. I'll pay for the drawing. You'll keep your daughter out of my office," he interrupted, "and out of my life. Do we understand each other?" Mira nodded, unable to speak. She left his office and went home to their apartment. 2 small rooms that suddenly felt smaller. She sat at the kitchen table, bills spread in front of her like a losing hand of cards. Rent was due in 2 weeks. With 40% less income, she'd be short. Eviction would follow. Homelessness after that. Zara was asleep on the couch, still traumatized from Jason's screaming. The child hadn't spoken since that morning. She just stared at walls, flinching at loud noises. Mira looked at her daughter. Then she looked at the photograph she'd taken of the damaged drawing before she left Jason's office that morning. A photograph she wasn't supposed to have taken. She thought of who she used to be. A first-class graduate. A designer. Someone with talent and vision. That night, after Zara fell asleep, Mira decided to work on the drawing again. anything just to get back 40% of her money. She set up her laptop and began to sketch. She worked through the nights. Her hands remembered the language of design, even if her life had forgotten it. She recreated the drawing from memory and photographs. But she didn't just replicate Jason's work. She improved it. She added innovations he hadn't considered, angles he hadn't explored, possibilities he hadn't seen. The drawing was due to be submitted in 2 weeks. Jason had a client meeting scheduled. A major contract hung in the balance. Mira finished at 3 in the morning on day 14. She looked at what she'd created and felt something she hadn't felt in 5 years. Pride. Not in surviving, not in scraping by, but in her work, in her talent, in herself. She printed the drawing with trembling hands and put it in a portfolio. The next morning, she walked into Jason's office, politely. She placed the drawing on his desk without permission. "I have something to show you," she said. Jason glanced at it and started to dismiss her. "Mira, I don't have time." "Look at it," she interrupted. Her voice was steady now. He did. His eyes moved across the drawing, and something shifted in his expression. Recognition, understanding, quality that couldn't be denied. "I want to make you a bet," Mira said. "Submit this drawing to your client today. If they accept it, I get my full salary back. No questions, no conditions. But if they reject it—" She paused. "If they reject it, you can do whatever you want with me. Fire me, whatever." Jason stared at her. For a moment she thought he'd throw her out. But instead he saw her, maybe for the first time. He saw intelligence, the courage, the talent that had been cleaning his office for 2 years. "You're that confident?" he asked quietly. "I know what this drawing can do," Mira answered. Jason nodded slowly. "All right, I'll submit it." The client meeting was at 10. Jason presented the drawing. The clients were silent at first, studying every detail. Then one of them spoke. "This is exactly what we needed. This is innovative. This is brilliant. Where did this come from?" Jason hesitated for just a moment. "A colleague of mine," he said finally. Finally, the contract was signed by noon. When Jason returned to the office, he called Mira in. They both sat down on the sofa in his office. "Your salary is restored," he said. "But that's not what this is about." Mira waited. "I'm sorry for my actions. I shouldn't have yelled at her in that manner. Years ago, my ex-girlfriend tried to tell me she was pregnant with my child. She wasn't. The lie almost destroyed me. My reputation, my career, everything. I became afraid of children, angry at them. I took that anger out on you, on Zara, and I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry." "By the way, how were you able to do what you did with the drawing?" he asked. "I'm a first-class graduate of architecture and design. I had things all figured out until life happened to me. And now I'm a single parent and your cleaner," she said, smiling. "I want to offer you a real position," he continued. "Junior architect, real salary, benefits, a career, not just a job." Mira's eyes were wet, but she didn't cry. "I'll take it," she said. "But Jason, trust has to be earned. An apology isn't enough. I need to see that you've changed. And Zara needs to feel safe again." "I understand," Jason said. "I'll earn it." They shook hands. It was professional, but something deeper had shifted between them. Mira started as junior architect on a Monday morning. The office was different now. She wasn't invisible anymore. Colleagues nodded. People knew her name. It felt surreal. By the second week, Zara no longer flinched when Jason walked past. By the third week, she was actually watching him work, curious about what the scary man was doing. The real moment came on day 22. Jason was in the office kitchen getting coffee. Zara just entered the kitchen to get water. "Hello, sir," Zara said, immediately. Just one word, barely audible. Jason froze. He didn't make a big deal of it. He didn't smile too wide or celebrate too loudly. He simply responded naturally. "Hi, Zara. How are you today?" "Good," she whispered, and then she left. After she was gone, Jason had a huge smile, just real happiness for a child who was learning to trust again. That evening, Mira watched Jason play with Zara on the office floor, while she reviewed architectural plans. He was patient. He asked questions. He listened to her 4-year-old logic about building blocks and colors. He celebrated when she built something, genuinely celebrated, like she'd just designed a skyscraper. The walls Mira had built around her heart began to crack. By week 5, Zara was holding Jason's hand without hesitation. Mira saw it happening and couldn't stop it. She didn't want to stop it. She was watching a man truly change, not performatively, not temporarily, genuinely. He was doing the work. He was earning the trust he'd asked for. One Thursday night, they were both working late. Most of the office had emptied out. It was just Mira and Jason in the quiet space, the city lights twinkling beyond the windows. "I know I don't deserve this," Jason said, looking up from his desk. "Don't deserve you. Don't deserve Zara. But I can't stop trying to earn it." Mira set down her pen. She walked toward him slowly. "You're trying," she said softly. "That's what matters to me." He stood. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Then he kissed her. It wasn't desperate or frantic. It was tender and earned, like every moment leading to it had built this one perfect moment. "I love you," he whispered against her lips. "I know," she whispered back. "I'm starting to love you too." 3 months passed. Jason's penthouse felt like home now. Not his home, their home. The 3 of them. Morning light streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows. Zara sat at the breakfast table, drawing architectural sketches like her mother, occasionally looking up to ask Jason questions about design principles. He answered each one seriously, as if she were a peer, not a 4-year-old. Mira was reviewing plans for a building she was designing, not assisting, designing. Her name would be on the credits. Her vision would exist in the world. Jason watched them both and felt something he thought he'd never feel. Complete. Not wealthy complete. Complete in the way that mattered, surrounded by people he loved and who loved him back. That evening, they stood on the balcony as the sun set. It was just Mira and Jason now, the city sprawling below them like a kingdom of possibilities. "I didn't deserve either of you," Jason said, taking her hand. "I still don't, but I'll spend every day earning it." Mira turned to him, her eyes reflecting the sunset. "That's all I ask," she said. He kissed her again, slowly, with gratitude in every touch. The balcony door opened. Zara ran out, holding up her drawing. "Look, I designed a building." It was chaotic and beautiful and purely her own vision. Jason and Mira looked at it with wonder. Jason knelt down. "This is beautiful, Zara. You're going to be an amazing architect." Zara smiled, a real smile, confident and free, and wrapped her arms around both of them. The 3 of them stood there on the balcony as the sun sank lower, silhouetted against the golden light. A janitor's daughter, a traumatized child, a wounded CEO, a family. What began with water spilled on a drawing had become something none of them expected. Redemption. Not the kind that comes easy. Not the kind that comes quick. The kind that comes from choosing to change. Choosing to trust. Choosing to love despite the wounds. Jason looked down at the 2 people he'd almost destroyed. He'd been given a second chance. Not because he deserved it, but because Mira fought for it. Because sometimes when we're willing to do the work, love finds us in the most unexpected places. Some second chances are worth fighting for. Some people are worth believing in. And sometimes, love doesn't come from perfection. It comes from the willingness to change, to heal, and to see someone, really see them, for who they truly are. If you made it this far, you know this story. You know that redemption is possible. You know that trauma doesn't have to define us. Like this video if Jason and Mira's journey moved you. Comment below and tell us about a second chance that changed your life. And subscribe so you never miss a story about love, redemption, and the power of believing in people. Because at the end of the day, we all deserve the chance to become better versions of ourselves. And sometimes, it takes someone brave enough to give us that chance. Thank you for watching.